Alright, so this is what I got for Christmas. This is a Yi 4 Plus action camera, I think is what it is. It's the Yi 4 Plus, that's the main thing. There's several Yi type. And it's basically for a while there I really wanted to get a GoPro to do some camping videos, and I also wanted to get another camera besides my cell phone camera off my iPhone to make instructional videos at work. And so I was looking around, and most of the people on YouTube were suggesting some pretty high-end cameras on the order of $500, $600, even $1,000, which I'm just not ready to pay. I mean, for one thing, I don't think I can take care of anything that expensive without breaking it. I've never had a camera that expensive, and most of the camera settings I'm not familiar with. I wanted something that was pretty much point and shoot, and so that's why I wanted to go for the GoPro. But even the GoPro, the latest ones are around $400, $500, unless I wanted to get a couple of generations back. So I had given up on the idea. I was going to just continue to use my iPhone, but I noticed that my iPhone has had problems taking video in bright sunlight. It tends to have little stars, like some sort of reflective problems with my lens on my iPhone. And so it wasn't working to my satisfaction when I go out and do my camping videos or when I'm outside. It's perfectly fine for use when I am using it for instructional videos at work, where I do nursing videos, and it's perfectly fine for that. I can do that and not have to worry about having those flares. So anyway, but then I was looking at some comparisons between the different types of GoPro cameras, and I found one that compared the GoPro against the Yi, Y-I is how that's spelled, the Yi action cameras, and I found this one on sale this year through Amazon for something like $175. I think it was on sale from $199 down to $175. And so I thought, okay, well, that is within my amount that I would want to pay for something that I could conceivably completely ruin, right? Dropping down a hill or dropping into water. And we even got like a waterproof action case for it, but it turns out that I got the wrong case, and so it doesn't fit, which is fine. I'll just get that at another time. But at any rate, I wanted to give this camera a try. One of the things that I was really impressed about the Yi camera the action camera, is that it can take 4K plus videos. Now, I don't really do 4K that much, but I do know that the higher the quality of the image, the more you can do with post-recording processing through programs, for editing, such as what I use, Corel Video Studio, rather. And so I was really into that and wanted to have a higher quality of video. And now I'm doing more research, and one of the things that the Yi camera does really well is 1080 as opposed to 4K. I may record in 4K, but it doesn't translate into anything that I can use as far as extra quality on YouTube for the things that I record. I mean, if I were a nature recorder, or if I did more adventure type content, then that would make sense, but I am not an action person, and so most of I got an action camera, and that is a bit of a misnomer in my case, because most of what I do is either on the outside is camping and walking around and looking at stuff. I don't go snowboarding, or I don't go parachuting or anything like that. So I don't really need something that does an awful lot of action camera type things. But I did like the 1080 and the fact that I can record in that so that I can edit it down later. The price point was really, really good. Also, I like the fact that, well, GoPro does this too. You can swap out SIM cards. The only thing that I don't like about the limitation with this particular Yi camera is that it is limited in size to 16 gigabyte SD cards. I'm sorry, 64 gigabyte SD cards. And so, but a couple of those, and that overrides the battery life of the camera. Although in this particular package that I got, on Amazon, I was able to get not just the battery for the camera, but I got 2 additional batteries and a battery charger that I can use, and if I'm out camping or doing something, I can recharge that using a USB brick, USB power bank, which is kind of nice. So between, if I just collect a whole bunch of 64 gigabyte SD cards, and if I then have renewable energy through these rechargeable batteries, then I should be able to generate a lot of content. Another thing that I was really impressed with this camera is, like the GoPros, this has EIS, Electronic Image Stabilization, which it's not as good as a GoPro now that I've looked at it and compared it to other cameras via YouTube. This camera doesn't have as high quality of image stabilization, but at least it's something. When you're walking around, it does take some of the jolt out. Some of the people on YouTube, they compared when running around. Well, I don't run, so that's not going to be an image for me, but I do like to take videos when I'm driving and when I'm walking, and so it would be nice to have some kind of image stabilization. However, I can do EIS in post-production using my editing software, so there are a couple of ways around that. There are a couple of interesting features with this camera that I really like. One of them is the fact that it has a cell phone interface, and so I'm just going to see if I can flip that around to where you can see, right? When you download an app from the App Store, it will, it's trying to link now. All right, and now it's linked with the camera, and I can actually view, it's a live view of what I can see. So one of the nice things that I was doing earlier was I was doing a cooking video, using my other toy that I got for Christmas, an air fryer. And so I was making a video, and it was very nice because I had this gimbaled out at 90 degrees over the cooking surface, and I couldn't see the top of the camera very well. So it was nice to have something that I could hold in my hand or near me, where I can not only view the image here, but I can also start and stop it with this green button there. Okay, and it also has all the camera settings. You can click into this app and change all the camera settings. That you can switch between video mode and photo mode, and you can take photographs. You can change the settings, and it's all done through Wi-Fi that the camera is generating. That was a bit of a confusion for me. I was going in the wrong direction. I was assuming that I had to hook up the camera to the phone's Wi-Fi, which doesn't make sense. I mean, that would be a home network. It took me several times before I realized that the camera itself generates a Wi-Fi signal, and that is how you have to drop your home network and pick up the camera's network in order to use this function. All right, but it is very useful for that. The other thing too about this camera is that I'm going to switch over to my notes. Another thing is that it has Bluetooth capability. I'm going to back off in a little bit and show you how I've got a Bluetooth selfie stick. It's basically a selfie stick. Let me see if I can back it off so you can see it. I'll have to do it a little later. Okay, but it has a selfie stick and has a button on it that will Bluetooth with the camera. And from that, I can, with the same hand that I'm holding the selfie stick with, I can switch between video and photo mode, and I can initiate and start and stop videos, take a photo, and it's really nice. It also helps extend the battery life, because if I allow the camera to go into sleep mode after 30 seconds or so, I think it is, the button still operates. It doesn't turn off the Bluetooth, and it also doesn't turn off the Wi-Fi. So all that is pretty good. Now, I did have problems with setting up the Wi-Fi the first time. I tried to set up the Wi-Fi, I screwed up somehow because I was going in the wrong direction. I was trying to hook up the camera to the phone when it should have been the other way around, if that makes any sense. So after that, after you screw it up once, I read some video reviews that said that if you to go ahead and just reset the camera to factory settings and restart your cell phone and start all over again, and after that, after struggling with it for 2 hours, by restarting my phone and resetting this camera, it was able to, I could have put on a better shirt, couldn't I? It was able to get a connection without any problems. Bluetooth worked totally fine, so just so you're aware. Okay, now with that, I'm going to disconnect this, and I'm going to show you how the Bluetooth works. Alright, so I've taken the my selfie stick, which I got through Amazon at the exact same time. I can't remember what the deal with it on. I think it was like $30 or $40. So I've also changed my shirt because I know my mother's watching me. All right, so but this is the selfie stick. It's the usual thing. I don't. If I unlock it, it extends out to. I believe it will extend out to almost a yard, but have no need for that right now. But right now I've got it on one of its shortest settings. Let me make it even shorter, so maybe it'll fit all in the thing there. Okay, so hoping that's all fitting there. So this is the selfie stick, and one thing that I really like about it, besides the fact that it telescopes out, it also has a really effective mechanism on the top, so you can turn it portrait mode and spin it around into all directions and all that thing. But one of the nice things is on the bottom, I can't show you because then you won't see it because it's attached. But on the bottom of this is a screw. I don't know if you see it or not, but I have attached the attachment plate for my my tripod, right? And so I'm not going to unscrew it. But anyway, it screws right on there. And when you do that, I can use the tripod's 90-degree tilt so that I can actually make an extension boom. That I can point so the tripod goes up like this, and then the boom goes out at 90 degrees, and then the camera can point down, which is something that I want to do when I do some cooking videos. I think that one of the things I want to document more is how I use my Instant Pot, and we just now bought a new toy, an air fryer, and so it'll enable me to do videos, with that, just for the heck of it. I'm not a really good cook. Well, that's the need for all these toys. If I was a good cook, I wouldn't need any of these toys, but I'm not a good cook, and so I need as many toys as I can possibly get. But I wanted to show you how the Bluetooth attaches. I don't know if it'll mess up my filming, so I'm bringing down a drop screen. I won't do it. Okay, so it won't do it because I'm in record mode. But anyway, if I initiate that, I can just push a button, and that button will set up a Bluetooth signal with the camera, which isn't now because I'm not able to initiate the Bluetooth signal. And I have not had a problem, no failures in connecting the Bluetooth between the camera and this selfie stick. And then it's just really nice because sometimes if you're going around, you can hit the button. This thing spins around. I don't want to show it to you, but you can loosen this, and this button will spin around to whatever position you need it to be based on the position of your camera. So you can position it so that you can take a picture with just a touch of a button, or you can switch over and to video mode and take video shots. I'm going to show a clip in a little bit of when I went out in my car this morning. One of my first uses of the camera outside of our apartment. And just to test, what the image stabilization could do, and just kind of testing what it was like. And it was nice holding it in one hand and being able to start and stop videos without having to reach over with my left hand, and then who's driving the car, right? Without reaching over my left hand and turning off the button from the shutter button, the control button on the top. Alright, so Wi-Fi I really like, Bluetooth I really like, 1080p I really like. Even with my small 16 gigabyte SD card that I bought, it's given me 44 minutes of record time. That's a 1080 and 60 frames per second, although it doesn't seem to care if it's 60 or 30. I assumed going from 30 to 60 that it would cut your time in half, but it doesn't seem to affect that. Even really going from medium to high quality, I'm just going to shoot natively in medium, unless I'm doing something. Again, I'm not a nature hiker. I'm not an athlete. I'm not going to be running anywhere or climbing anything or dropping down from anything. So I really don't need a camera that's going to be able to catch me at a 50th of a second. I don't do anything at a 50th of a second. Right, and so, but I did want to be able to have the 1080p, and maybe if I wanted to run some slow-mo of something interesting, wouldn't be me. It would be like a waterfall or a bird or a dog, right? Something that moves at a 50th of a second. Then I would be able to do that, and that's something that I'm going to experiment with. Okay, so that's that's my camera and my selfie stick. What else do I want to tell you about that? I mean, there's several other gifts. The other one I'm going to do a film of later on is our air fryer. I know I keep talking about that thing, but I've made 2 meals with it. One was edible, which is pretty good. Pretty good for me, right? For a new gadget. The fact that 1 of 2 meals that I made based on YouTube videos, I could eat 1 of the 2 meals. I'm impressed myself. Okay, so this is me heading out the door. I've started up my Yi 4K Plus, that's what it's called, 4K Plus camera. And I wanted to see what the EIS was. I'm just basically walking down the stairs, and compared to other cameras that I've seen without EIS, electronic image stabilization, this would be quite shaky. There is still some shake, as I've read in several reviews. The Yi 4K Plus action camera's EIS is not as effective, especially compared to the newer GoPros that have excellent EISs. And there's also a really good Sony action camera out there that has the best EIS in the business, from what I understand. All those are out of really my price range as far as what I want to do and need to do. But this is pretty comfortable. I mean, I'm walking along. I'm not really trying to hold the camera steady, any more than normal. So we're just walking out to the car. Every morning, these sprinklers, I don't know what it is. No matter what time of day I come and go, these sprinklers get me. And so this is just me heading out. Pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with the image here. I'm pretty satisfied with the saturation and focus and all that stuff. But admittedly, there are cameras out there that do a better job with the capture of the image and the colors. And I might be able to boost that some by playing around with my camera settings. That's just something that I'll need to kind of figure out as I learn more about the camera. Another real short clip of me just going along, driving, checking out the EIS and the image quality. Not too bad. I got to work on some of the settings. This next part I've slowed down to 20% of speed. I do see some stutter that I don't like, but we'll see if that translates over when I turn this into an MP4. And then this last section here, just a few seconds of me going at, I believe, 7 times normal speed. Okay, so that's all that I had to say about my initial thoughts on the Yi 4K Plus action camera. Finally, I got the name right. But basically, I mean, I really like the camera so far. I still have to work with some of the camera settings in it. I really need to work on how to bump up the color somewhat, either in the camera itself. I feel like I don't know enough about photography to really know what to do with all the settings. There is really a great array of settings that you have to kind of know what you're doing as a photographer, and I just have never been a photographer. Everything I've ever done has been point and shoot, and so some of the settings I need to play with and trying to get the color bump. I also want to gain more experience in how to use frame rates, to do slow-mo, and more, just more effective stuff. As I said, I really don't use slow-mo that much in my work, which is probably 95% of my video productions are at work. But this can still be a really good camera for that because it's small and light, and with my selfie stick, it's very easy for me to control most of the time with I'm just working in a workroom by myself, holding up nursing equipment, doing in-services on video, because we don't have an educator. And so that's what 95% of my work is. And this camera is something that I can manage pretty easily without having to go to more expensive options that cost, upwards of $800 to $1,000. I'm just not ready to do that unless I become a nurse educator and end up doing it. Right now, I'm a charge nurse, so much of my activity is management-oriented and leadership-oriented. It's not education. But if I did switch over and become an educator at some point in my life, then yeah, I might get a more expensive camera. But this camera that I see here has been, I sense, based on what I've been able to do, in relatively poor conditions in my room. In this room that I'm in, the lighting is very poor, and it's able to pick up images okay through a mirror, working with a really low-level lamp. I just feel like when I get into better, more professional surroundings, that I can do higher quality videos. The pros here, price point really good, $175 for this particular camera. I believe it's $200 normally, and I really like the Wi-Fi connectivity with the cell phone. It's really great. The fact that even as I am recording this, I can look on my cell phone. I've got it propped up in front of me, and I can see what the camera can see, and I can tell when if I stop recording. There is a little blue light that blinks as well, which is good. I also really like the Bluetooth connectivity with my Bluetooth selfie stick, and I really like the Bluetooth selfie stick that I got. It's a Yi product. And I also like the fact that this is the most reasonably priced action camera that can still do 1080 at 60 frames per second. Most of that is beyond even some of the higher priced GoPros. You have to go up really into the $400 or $500 range. And I can also do 4K with this device, but I don't do anything that requires any photography at that level. At least not right now. Who knows in the future? Who knows what I can do? All right, that's all I have, and I'm hoping you all are having a good holiday. We are about to go into New Year's. Brent is now back from his trip from his father, and he drove through that snowstorm, and so he is still recovering through that. That was a very harrowing experience, driving through that snowstorm, especially up and down all those mountains between St. Louis and Phoenix. But he's in Phoenix now. It is a bone-chilling 37 degrees out during the day today, but we're doing pretty well, and hope that everybody's having a good holiday.